Welcome to the Scaling Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Harper, and today's guest is a good friend of mine, Rand Larsen. He has been traveling around the country, going and putting on small business events with entrepreneurs, founders, acquisition entrepreneurs, and people who are doing cool stuff in the SMB and ETA space.
Our larger goal this year is to just unlock one new marketing channel, and we have it's one of the reasons that we're experimenting with this Main Street Summit thing. We have a small idea that if you design these caricature trading cards for other small business owners and mail them to them, that it could be so personalized that people have to get on the phone with you, or again, you cut through the noise.
Today we talk about why he decided to do that, why he decided to buy a van and go live in the van, how many events he's done. We talk about a business he recently acquired and how he's scaling that business. We talk about content and lead generation and where you can grow your business from doing different strategies. It is an amazing conversation with a lot of good stuff, and I know you're really going to enjoy it, so make sure to stay tuned. Rand, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Aaron. Great to be here, man.
I have been looking forward to this. You know, there's a lot of people in the SMB space, as you know, thousands of people, and you know, there's a handful that we all kind of know each other a little bit, and you know, we go to the conferences, we talk, and you're one that I just really have a lot of respect and admiration for. Just the stuff you're doing is so cool and so unique, and I'm just excited for the audience to hear about some of that stuff today. So
Yeah. I already just want to jump in. I feel like every single year I've done like one thing that is just something I want to do that I generally think will also work for the business, but otherwise I just think is really, really fun. And then I do that thing, and I'm I'm like well-known-ish for it, but there are always these weird things that don't tie directly to my business, but it's fun things that I enjoy doing.
Yeah, well, I think we might as well just start with I think one of the coolest things I've seen in the SMB space is you've just been literally traveling around the country, hanging out with entrepreneurs and putting on events. So let's just start there. How did you decide you wanted to do that? And you're just like, all right, I'm going to go live in a van. Like, walk me through the thought, the mental gymnastics that you had to go through to be like, this is the move, you know?
Yeah. So this goes back a couple years. This is when I was working with John Wilson. We were buying plumbing and trades companies. We did this Cleveland, Akron business meetup. Searchers, business owners, kind of anyone who was just in the area and followed John and Kelsey Larrick on Twitter. Just like, hey, come hang out. We bought drinks and food. And it was really, really fun time. It was great to see like everyone else who was on sort of the SMB X, back then was Twitter, space, and get to see and talk with them in person. They're like pretty darn cool people. It was like super fun event. And then fast forward, I was running my current business, Scale Path. It's called something different back then, but now it's Scale Path. And, you know, I had seen there's a couple people doing these regular small business meetups or SMB meetups. I'm like, why don't these things exist all over the country? Like, why isn't there one person who's, you know, sort of regularly getting people together in Indianapolis, Cincinnati, you know, and then to keep naming cities? I mean, these are large areas. Mm-hmm. We were able to do it in Akron, so why don't other people do this? And I'm running a community of business owners. So I was like, hey, let me just let's just jam pack a ton of events into like a large road trip and just see what happens. A, I like driving. B, I have a really fun, I think a lot of people in the, you know, SMB ETA space are really, really fun, wholesome people. I was like, let's just go meet a ton of them in person. And I was like, I also expect that somehow this will work better for my business in some way. And that was really the start of it. I thought, hey, let's do a ton of these events. I'm in Cleveland, Akron, which is relatively close to the Northeast, which is a ton of population density. And I think I traveled to 15, I think the number was actually 16 different cities, business owner or, you know, SMB ETA meetup in each one of these cities over the course of 5 weeks. So it was basically 2 a week that I was doing.
And you've done that now on and off for what, a year and a half?
Yeah, something like that.
Year and a half?
Yeah,
Year and a half?
That's actually pretty much right on the money. February of last year is when I did the first road trip, and then now it's September of the next year. So yeah, that's right around the time.
So were you renting a place? Or did you keep renting the place? When you talk to me about the van acquisition and kind of the thought process there.
I'll back up just a little bit. When I did the first 15, 16 events, I just drove my car and I got Airbnbs and hotels. That's everything I did. And then the outcome of that was like, people are expecting me to go to their city now, all over the country, like, hey, when are you coming here? When are you coming here? And I was like, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't go to, Chattanooga. So I was just like, how do I do this bigger? How do I do it better? How do I also make it relatively affordable? And I noticed, I was like, let me buy an RV. I started going down this like rabbit hole of like, what's the best RV to buy? Do I buy a brand new truck and a trailer? Do I do the weird van life thing? Do I buy a bus? And I was like, I didn't know anything about this. And it was one of those ideas that come to you and it just doesn't leave. I find that as like a pretty good indicator that something is worth doing or worth trying. Mm-hmm. And, I ended that road trip in like March. And by July, I had thought about this idea of, buying one of the van life vans that are all over YouTube and just doing it for a much longer extended period of time. And, the economic justification was that, now I'm traveling also with my house and my wardrobe, in the back of a large
so
Ram ProMaster. Everything's right. Yeah.
Everything's a write-off.
And so July, that's when I had bought it. And I can tell you more, but the actual first week I bought it was one of the worst mental weeks I've had in the last couple of years.
What happened? Tell me whatever you're comfortable sharing. What happened?
So, you fantasize about this like idea and how it's going to work and what the outcome of it is going to be. And then and the van was, a little bit over $40,000 and plus taxes. Mm-hmm. So I had just made a large financial commitment for someone like myself. And I buy it. I was already nervous even checking out the van. I flew to Los Angeles to buy it. And I was pretty nervous buying it in the first place. And I started driving it, and this is in July. I started driving it from Los Angeles, which is kind of hot in July, through Phoenix and through New Mexico, where it was like 110 degrees in Arizona. And, I parked this thing. It's way too hot to sleep. I've got the AC cranked. It's barely keeping me even at room temperature while I'm driving. And that was already like, it is extremely hot. I'm in this vehicle that frankly rattles. Like, it rattles in the back because it's got everything in a home, but it's on wheels. So it's rattling pretty frequently. And I had thought, now I have to drive this thing 7 days straight just to get back to my house. And I'm just traveling down. I'm looking at these RV places on the side of the road, and I'm just like thinking, I'd like offer whatever price you want to pay for this thing. I don't want it. I want an Uber to the airport. I want to fly home. And it was like that for pretty much the entire week. I had gotten a couple good rests where I've got family in Austin, Texas, where I stayed for a few days. So like, cool, got a shower. Still very hot in Austin, but I was in someone's house. And then once I got to Austin, drove further north, saw my friend Jack Carr in Nashville. Yep. Another good just rest stop, and then had finally got back home. I was like, hey, I'm just gonna sell this thing. This didn't work. I don't want out. Get me out. And then a few weeks later, I had already had a few events planned in Georgia and North Carolina, and I was like, let me just test it. Like, let me just suffer just a little bit longer. I'm just gonna test to see if this thing works. And it went okay. It went just okay. And then had another one scheduled in Wisconsin. I was like, let's keep going.
So was the reason that it was so bad was because of the weather and not knowing where you would be like, or was it just like, gosh, this is like, too much, this is more than I asked for, or what were some of the reasons why it was so bad at the beginning?
Yeah, it's like jumping into the deep end. And it's just the stupidest thing to say. Like, I bought a van life van and it's this horrible experience. But it was, I had never lived in a van before. And you start doing that, and it's just a cold shock to your body. And then when you think of, like, you don't have any escapes, or the escapes are there, but they're just very bad scenarios, you get into this kind of a downward spiral where you just start thinking about how dumb you are and how much of a stupid mistake that was that you made. And like you're driving in the mistake 8 hours a day. I mean, it's not great.
You're driving in a $40,000 mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
But it obviously is not. It was not a mistake long term. Like, this has been I would imagine a transformative experience for you to do all of this.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very happy that I purchased it. Even now, it hasn't been dormant. I've been driving it around for the last 5 months, but now it gives me a ton of flexibility. I don't like making plans when I travel. There's like booking hotel rooms, booking flights, figuring out where I'm going to go. Do I rent a car? Do I get Ubers to places? Everything is solved with the van. If anything is within like a 5-6 hour drive, it is totally inconvenient to not get in an Uber to an airport, sit in line, barely get some work done while you're sitting down in a terminal, going back, getting an Uber. Everything is, when you land, it's like everything is just control at my fingertips. If I get tired, I can pull over, stop, sleep. Very convenient in a ton of different ways. That's for every single place I go, every conference I attend. I went up to a wedding recently in Toronto, Canada. Didn't have to make any plans. Just like, I'm going to drive around, XYZ time. It's incredibly convenient for a ton of reasons, and it's sort of doubled as like a marketing thing where, I post about van life on Twitter or LinkedIn, and I'm pretty well known for it. Unfortunately, I'm more well known for van life than I am my business, which I'm like, too well. It worked way too well. But it is totally like, you can argue that, it cuts through the noise a little bit, interesting person, interesting journey, just cuts through the noise.
Yeah, I want to get into the business piece, but I want to talk a little bit more about, like, you've met now hundreds, maybe even thousands of entrepreneurs as you've done this, and all different kinds of entrepreneurs, probably founders, people who are acquisition entrepreneurs. Like, I mean, what are some of the things you've seen? Like, what are some of the coolest stories you've heard? Like, I just imagine you're just like a book of stories with all of the experiences you've had.
Yeah. There's sort of a lot to go on. I think the most interesting things that I see are people who acquire like really interesting companies that either they look sexy on paper, and by sexy I mean like boring sexy, like, no one's looking into installing art on residential walls that requires monthly maintenance or something like that. Like, that stuff that's boring but sexy. And then there's other stuff that looks good on the surface of when you acquire it, but is actually not a great acquisition when you actually get into running the day-to-day of it. I'll give you an example. There's this, I don't want to name the company specifically, but there's like a company that does oil and grease recycling for restaurants. And when you think about it, like, okay, you're doing weekly maintenance on restaurant grease, equipment. The equipment to actually do the service is relatively affordable. Employees are relatively easy to find. Strong recurring revenues, B2B, need and service. There's a strong reason why people don't do their own recycling themselves or cleaning. Like, you look at all of the aspects on paper and it's a great business, but you actually start running it and, all of your shifts are between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And all of your employees can be, relatively, low labor, like low skilled labor. And what that means is more often than not, people don't show up to work. And when they don't show up to work, that is you as the business owner. If you don't have replace them with or managers, that's you getting into a van at 2 a.m. to go clean fryers. And there's just a ton of other examples like that. And then a lot of others, like, I have a general, this is anecdotal, but I have like a general pulse on why, especially business acquisitions, are really, really challenging. And I'll just say broadly, it's like seller fraud, undercapitalization, customer concentration, and there's one more I'm forgetting, but there's like top 4 reasons why people struggle after acquisition.
Probably key man risk as well, in terms of key employee risk.
Yeah, I feel like there's a different one I'm thinking of, but that's another very common. I'd probably say, frankly, seller fraud is numero uno.
And when you say seller fraud, like misrepresenting financials, like misrepresenting the amount of time they're spending, like what specifically are you seeing that happens that maybe someone who's listening to this that's considering buying a business should like double click on even a little bit more than maybe what their broker says?
Yeah. So the financials are relatively straightforward. I think you dive a little deeper and you see like, where are those financials coming from? I mean, tax returns kind of verify everything.
Right.
And a quality of earnings report also does that. But I've seen a couple people get into trouble with like customer contracts, especially in B2B. I think people think like contracts are particularly strong. Some of them just look like contracts. They're not actually contracts. And it's also incredibly difficult to enforce them. And remember, like the same baby boomer business, you're buying a bunch of their vendors or other businesses that they work with are also baby boomer businesses. And, if you are suddenly the new owner, yes, you acquired the assets on paper, you acquired the stock, and it is literally your entity that they're contracted with. They might just cancel those regardless. And paying attention to like those vendor relationships, how they actually work versus how they look on paper, is one of them. And I'm trying to think, other reasons. I think you mentioned like how much time someone's business is involved, and I think pretty much every business that you acquire, the owner will probably understate the amount of hours that they're working. And a business buyer should probably assume that it's not going to work the same way for you. Either you're going to have to pick up all of their, roles and responsibilities, and that's going to take you a much longer period of time because you don't have the same pulse on the organization the business owner does. You also don't have the same skill set for them. You also have to pay attention to everything else while you're trying to integrate a company. And I wouldn't, and then on top of that, the seller's also probably just understating how much they actually work, whether it's purposeful or not purposeful. Some people just throw out a number, I only work like 15 hours a week, but it's actually like 30, but it feels like 15 because it's relatively easy for them,
Yeah. You just acquired a company. So, or merged, or I don't know how the deal structure worked, but you went from having a company and then you acquired another company and now you're partnered with. Talk a little bit about that. Tell me about the company and what it does and how you help people.
Yeah, I'm curious how far I go back here, but I've been running a different small business owner community. We had a different name, literally SMB community was the name. I've since learned how a little bit better how to brand stuff. But we acquired ScalePath from Michael Girdley. We acquired and rebranded to ScalePath from Michael Girdley in May of this year. And it's basically the exact same business, community of business owners for the purpose of getting people together to share information, to make less mistakes in each other's companies and find new opportunities to make more money. And to get help, and probably most of all, community support. Business ownership journey is very, very lonely.
Yeah.
And so those are all the reasons that A, I started the business in the first place, and then B, why we acquired ScalePath. We acquired a majority interest. Michael Girdley's still a partner, a minority partner, And, we're basically doing the same thing, but we're doing a lot more of it. We do peer groups. So we group business owners into small groups for, similar business models, similar revenue ranges, so that people have relevant things to talk about when they get on a monthly call. And then we do a bunch of other stuff. We do local meetups. We've got an online community forum. We've got playbooks and resources, a private members-only podcast, some discounts to resources, to other resources, and we're doing a bunch more. We got a lot of us on our plate. But the acquisition came about. Michael Girdley was looking to exit the business. I had already built a pretty good reputation in the ETA space. I was relatively known. I had spoken in the past with the CEO of Girdley's media business, because he was running the company for a short period of time, and just telling him about some of the challenges that they were having, how we've either solved them or have experienced the same thing ourselves. And from there, we built a relationship. And when it came time to exit, they reached out to me.
Whatever you're comfortable sharing, how big was the company? How big has it grown since you've become part of it? Is it whether member base or revenue? These companies can get pretty big. If you look at like EO and Vistage and YPO, obviously those are like the big ones, right? You've got Hampton as well. So those are kind of, so whatever you're comfortable sharing, like how big is it? How big do you think it's going to get? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we had around 40 members in SMB community prior to the time that we acquired it. ScalePath had around 50. We acquired that, and since we've grown a little bit, apparently August is our slow season. So we've had some churn on the online community side recently, but we've grown a little bit, and we're sitting a little bit above 90 members right now. And that's where we're at. And when it comes to like large organizations, I think one of the large challenges with these community type businesses is churn. I feel like people don't talk about churn very often, but what you're really doing is, let me see, I've seen other communities, what they'll do is this is what I think a lot of people assume, and probably why you see other people who like just start communities. Because what you assume is that you're a business owner and you look at other business owners and the information that you share with them, and you think like, okay, I'm just going to get 10 other business owners, we're going to put them in the same room, and everyone's going to be able to share a lot of transparent information that's highly applicable to everyone's business, and that makes everyone money. Like that's the truth. It's like, hey, we've all got this awesome information to share. Let's build a place to share together. And part of that's true. Another part of it is when you actually add on a price tag and charge for something, you become like a very, there actually has to be a return on value. A, for someone's time, and B, for the price tag, which is actually less important than someone's time. Everyone's a busy business owner. Like they've got a lot of other things to focus on. And having a really, really strong process for however you do it. EO's system is different from YPO's, is different from ours. Believe it or not, they're actually relatively different. And I think a lot of the things that separate each community is just the other members inside of it. Mm-hmm. For example, like EO is a great organization. They're fantastic. Some of their chapters suck. I actually rarely hear it, but some of their chapters suck. And I think that's why you get this great brand name that is broadly doing an incredible job. But if you are one business owner who joins a peer group where basically the result that you get out of every single meeting is the other members and the information they're able to share and provide you with, if you're not placed in a great group, you're probably going to leave relatively quickly. And I think that's the large problem that a lot of these groups run into, is like member fit. And we've been very intentional about making fit as strong as possible. When I first started these, like candidly, like I had a challenge. I thought the same assumption that a lot of people have, which is like, okay, everyone's acquired a business. you know, they've probably got a bunch of great information to share. They've got similar ambitious personalities. Let's put a group of people in a room together. And then you figure out all these other problems, like, okay, this one person has a very, very narrow software problem and no one knows how to solve it or even comment on it. So this one person like brings a problem and like everyone's like, can't help you, bud. And I'm like, okay, well, and the conversation will fall flat. And that person will obviously be like, okay, well, that wasn't helpful at all. And since now, yeah, that's why I say like we go narrow on revenue size, so everyone's at a similar scale of company, which affects the actual problems that they're experiencing every day. Similar industry size as well, whether that's like a B2B, a local B2B project-based business sales motion, or it's a professional services company, or manufacturing, or home services, plumbing and HVAC. Like having a few strong things that everyone always has in common, that everyone could comment on, I've found it's been our largest asset in retention. I know that's not what you asked about.
No, that makes a huge difference. I mean, listen, like if you ask any one of the franchisees at Rolling Suds, they will tell you that their favorite part about being a Rolling Suds franchisee is the community of owners. And it's for the exact reason you're talking about. You have a bunch of people doing the same exact thing, or in your case, the same relative industry, if it's home services or trades or whatever. And you're talking to each other all the time. And you're sharing the same problems, and rising tide lifts all boats, you know? And so that is exactly why, you know, a lot of people will join a brand, is because of the reason of what you're trying to curate. So I love it. I think it's great.
I am curious on the franchise side. See, the weird thing is I have a hard time getting franchisees to join ScalePath because they have, like, they already have a solution. And I think this isn't with, I don't know how you guys run your community, but whenever I talk to other franchisees, the community is usually kind of within grasp, but it's not so active of, if you're a franchisee in a system, you reach out to one other franchisee, you're going to get a call, you're going to get on a call with them basically every single time. It's really great from like, hey, we've got it. It's really great from actually having someone to talk to who's going through the exact same thing and to get someone to respond. But I am curious, like, how do you step it up? How do you make it better? How do you make it something that is kind of irresistible that someone would value as part of joining franchise?
Yeah, so there's a few things. One, before you even sell a franchise, you have to be super intentional about what type of owner you're bringing in. Just how you're looking at ScalePath in terms of fit, culture, person. Like, is this person going to fit within our culture? You have to do the same thing with a franchise. Like, as an example, to make an example, if I bring in someone who's just going to like run a truck by himself and like scale slowly, and then I bring in someone who wants to build to 7 trucks within the next 5 years, those two people aren't going to be super helpful to each other, right? Like, they're just going to be on different playing fields, and so they're not going to talk and they're not going to mesh. Whereas if every single person that I bring into the system both wants to scale a multi-truck empire, has the risk tolerance to scale a business, capital, and like business sophistication, then all of a sudden this community becomes more valuable to all the other owners, right? So we turn away about 5 people per month. Like, I turned away 2 people today. I'm kind of like, it's crazy, man. I'm like back in the saddle building the franchise sales department from scratch because we had some unexpected turnover. So I'm like back in it, like putting in people, like hired a VP of development, hired like I'm just like building this department the same way I built the business. But we turn away a lot of people, and that's like step 1, right? So like, who are you bringing into the system and who are you not letting in? And it's tough for most franchisors to turn away a $150,000 check because they're like, this person wants to give me $150,000. And despite whether or not they're going to be a successful business owner, like they're a C candidate, I'm going to let them in anyways because I want $150,000, which makes sense. We raised a significant amount of money, as you and I have talked about. We have plenty of cash on the balance sheet. We've got more capital if we need to get into it. We do not need people's money, and I don't mean that arrogantly. Like, we just don't. And so that allows us to be really strategic in our decision making process. Not a lot of franchisors are set up that way. The second thing is you have to go into it knowing that one of the biggest values of the system for your franchisees is going to be the system itself, like the people. And so that means that there have to be systems that we have to create to enhance that for franchisees, which is what you're asking about. And so what we do is we have multiple different Teams chats. We have one for marketing, we have one for Windows, we have one for just general franchisee support. And there are hundreds of messages going all throughout the day. So you have more successful, like longer standing franchisees giving advice to brand new franchisees that are encountering challenges that they had a year and a half ago when they launched. And so there's a bunch of messages going in on Teams. Additionally, we create masterminds for similar minded franchisees that that are at same revenue levels. They're potentially regionally connected. These are led by our franchise advisory council. And a franchise advisory council is like you have different franchisees that represent different regions. So think of them as like the governor of like the Southeast. And these are elected by the franchisees. So these groups are being led by leading franchisees, and they're meeting monthly talking about a specific topic for 90 minutes. They're talking about commercial sales, and it's like 90 minutes of like really focused, helping each other out kind of stuff. We do regional meetings just like you guys do as well with, putting on the events that you've done so well. Like we'll bring out franchisees to, like we had one in Nashville 2.5 weeks ago. And so 16 franchisees came out to Nashville. We went to the biggest power washing convention, which is called the Huge Convention, with like 20 blue t-shirts, blue polos deep, like sponsoring the event. So all of our competitors are wearing our logo around their neck, which was hilarious.
That is funny.
So we just like, we do these things that like encourage collaboration. We'll have 6 different meetups, regional meetings in the Q1 of next year. We'll have our convention, which we do annually, which everyone gets together at. So like we take action on our end to leverage the network and lean into the fact that like the best ideas come from the field, like encouraging kind of this collaboration. But it has to be an intention from the franchisor to do those types of things. If the franchisor doesn't do those types of things, they're going to experience what you've talked about, which is, I mean, I guess I can call a franchisee, but like, I don't know if he's going to want to talk to me, or like, I don't know who I'm going to call. So like, we're like, hey, let's lean into that because it's an asset. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons you buy into a franchise.
You said you do 6 of those regional events a year?
No, we'll do 6 next quarter.
You do 6 a quarter?
We will do 6 in Q1. So the business coaches that we have regional business coaches. And so I can send out 4 business coaches across the region, and we can grab 10 to 15 franchisees and put on an event with 15, 20 people.
So it sounds like the business coach will kind of like run and orchestrate everything. Do they have it? I'm asking because this is a problem that I would love to solve. And like, we've got good relationships with business coaches. I bet we could do something similar, but the actual, like, we're planning an Atlanta manufacturing retreat right now, way more complicated than I expected it to be. I'm not very detail oriented, and this is a detail oriented thing. And
event planning is detail I mean, it's like a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have an event coordinator who works across all of these events? Do you have an office admin who helps? Do you have a playbook that you just...
Yeah. So we have the coaches that put it on strategically. So here's what we're going to talk about. Here's how we're tactically going to get involved together. Here's, like how we're going to benefit from like growing our business standpoint. And then I've got people on the operations side that schedule hotel blocks, restaurants, team building events, drinks. And so all that stuff that's happening in the back end, transportation, all the stuff that needs to happen in the back end to make it so that the owners can come out and only focus on like networking and sharing ideas, is done by kind of my admin team, essentially.
And I assume your admin team will like work with the coach as well. Just like, hey, coach might say, hey, this is the type of event. This is what I want to happen. These are the approximate time blocks. We should be close-ish in proximity to these key landmarks if we're going to go to a place. And from there they'll get like hotels, restaurants, food and catering. Like, is that how it works? Like the business coach kind of operates around your office team operates around the business coach and their plan?
It's kind of like the team operates around the event itself. So my operations team plans the event. The business coach then will go out and like be the chaperone, let's call it, of the event. So like the people who are planning the regional meetings are my executives, and the business coaches go out and then facilitate and execute and make them happen.
Yep.
But you've got to get franchisees to engage. So you've got to tell them there's a whole like marketing push that happens, months before to say, hey, like, and you got to remind people because they're potentially they're going to leave an entire day, so they can't plan jobs around it. So there's this whole kind of like internal marketing piece that you have to do. There's like follow up, and the people who are talking to the franchisees the most regularly are their business coaches, because they have weekly calls with them that they're meeting with. So that's when they'll be like, hey, we've got a regional meeting come up. I think it's going to be really great for you. You have this constraint with your business. There's another franchisee coming that doesn't have this constraint. They've solved it. I really want to put you guys in a room together. This is a benefit here. Typically, so we can charge for them. The last few times we haven't, because we're just like, whatever, we want to get people together. We're like at the beginning stages of this. I've done them in other brands that I've been a part of, so I kind of like understand the thought and theory behind making them happen. And I understand that like they'll come, their businesses will grow, which obviously means more royalties for the brand and more profit for them. So it's like, but we have the ability, once we start doing, like, we've never done 6 in a quarter as an example. Like that'll be a first for us next quarter. We may charge like to cover some of the costs to go out there, but we haven't recently. We actually paid for every one of them who did come out to go to the huge convention. So we paid for their ticket, and I sent out my video guy, Chase, to go out and create content specifically for them in their local market if they attended. Because we really want franchisees to get out from behind your computer, go out and engage with other business owners, like shake hands, come up with ideas, and that's like, it's just, I'm telling you, it's the best part of a franchise when it's done correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to steal some of that stuff if you don't mind.
Steal it. Call me anytime, man. You can take any of it. Yeah, no, I'm happy to help. I mean, there's a lot of crossover. Like, I mean, if you think of like YPO or EO or Scale Path, like you pay, I don't know, 5 to 15 to 50 grand a year, depending on to like be part of these organizations and go to the events and do these things. And it's like, that is just literally, if the community is valuable, that's just wrapped into the cost of a royalty. People don't really understand that though, because when you're evaluating a brand, you're like, all right, do they help with marketing? Do they help with finding me recruit employees? Do they help with this stuff? And all that stuff is very important. But like, there's this whole other element of like the community piece that like cannot be understated.
Yeah, and I think specifically for like the franchise side, if I'm looking at a perspective to be, a Rolling Suds franchisee, and everything I would go is like very, very measurable. It is, what exactly am I paying for? But in all of our conversations from peer groups, there's about 1,000 things that you cannot put onto a piece of paper. Like, we have value coming out of every single call that we do. If I put it on paper, it would probably not make sense for 90% of the other people who I show like that, call it testimonial or case study for, because it's something that might not happen to them. But there's 1,000 different other potential problems that could happen in their business that something would be like a problem that they would need help solving, but it's incredibly unpredictable. And I'm thinking of it from like a, for example, this whole right butts, right seats thing. I had it, at least we were talking in this peer group call, and we were like, God, I guess it all is just right butts, right seats. It's just
it is.
Because it's every business is a people problem, and then you're like, this is the problem. I'm like, I felt like I've heard this 3 times this week. That is just like a good person who is not in the role that they need to be, and something like that. Yes, you can like tie it to an EOS framework, and this is something you need to do. But when you actually experience it, and it's hard to recognize that problem, especially if it's the first time that you've seen it. It's like, why is this person behaving this way? Why is it like pulling teeth to get them to do this specific job? Do I fire this person or they bet? And it's a more complicated, nuanced discussion. And if you say, hey, Rolling Suds has answered that in the FAQ or wherever you list it, it's not going to be very measurable. It's also, you would have to have 1,000 different iterations. Like, here are the tiny weird problems that are going to happen that we have solutions for, but they're incredibly soft and unpredictable. And like the community, I'm saying, helps solve those.
Yeah, and then it is definitely more gray and mushy, and like, does this exist? How great is it? And like, I'm telling you, it's making sure the right owners are all thinking the same way in the system. Number one, you can't have a great community without that.
Yeah.
And then the franchisor has to invest time and money in facilitating that. And it's expensive. I mean, to put these small events on and not charge for them and stuff like that. I mean, it's a significant, you do it for 6 of them or whatever in a quarter, and it's like, that's an expense. You've got the labor, you've got the coordination, you've got the food, like, you've got all that kind of stuff. But
and the time
ultimately
involved.
And the time involved.
Yeah.
And where are we going to allocate resources? When you're allocating resources towards that, you're not allocating those resources elsewhere. And so there's a cost and a benefit to everything. But I had a theory this year that getting people in person more would make a big difference. Just, being there with, we're a virtual company, right? So I have 24 team members, and we're all over the country. And so it's like, how do we invest what we would spend on an office space that we're paying rent on in community culture building, team building events? And that has proven to be a good use of capital and a good use of time.
Yeah, that's our direction as well. We want to do regular events at least quarterly. We're doing our first.
So how do you do that? Is there a way to like mix in the Rand Van like events and just like brand them as Scale Path events that like are almost essentially like member recruitment events? Just, like,
I don't know that we have the answer lined out. I mean, the Rand Van plus Scale Path is the same thing. Like the van it's just me. I think where we are curious of, I'll be very candid. Like, we chose to do a very, very narrow event with manufacturing, and we chose to. This is a subconscious choice, but we chose to make it more of like a work event where you're coming for the purpose of learning new things that you can integrate to your company. We're doing 2 other tours of like manufacturing events nearby, much larger companies than our current members are operating. It's like, hey, you're going to meet other people operating manufacturing businesses. You're going to tour a couple other large companies. We're talking about manufacturing and manufacturing problems with manufacturing people. And promoting the event was difficult. I thought we were going to get a much better response than we did. We still got enough folks to come, but I thought it was going to be a much stronger pull. And out of experiencing this, a lot of it was like pushing a rock up a hill just to get to a minimum number of members that I was happy with. And it's like, man, have you ever pushed a boulder up a hill? It really fucking sucks. But dude, I've got 13,000 followers on Twitter and LinkedIn. I've got probably 100, 200 people in Florida, like business owners. I'm like, there are so many easier things that I could have done that would have had a better impact, that it would have been easier to do. That would have been, I'm going to say more fun because I'm going to have just as much fun, but would otherwise be an easier win, more people, better impact. It's like, I've made a bit of I wouldn't call it a mistake. I'm still happy we did it. It was just more challenging than I thought it was going to be. But I'll say my new direction on events is sort of like demand. It's demand. Yeah. It's just what do people want? What are people willing to pay for? Even if it's like $100, we're covering dinner. This event is not profitable for me at all. But if it gets scale path in front of you, and if we have a relevant peer group for you to join, relevant information to share, then terrific. As well as the actual event in its as of itself of a good, fun thing where people want to get involved with other people around them. So anyways, like that's our mission. I don't think it's going to be a challenge trying to like loop in the Rand van. I like traveling maybe to Florida again this winter. I think more of it, this isn't something I'm worried about too much right now, but how does it look at scale? And I think what happens at scale is we have business coaches in a variety of markets who are, candidly, first and foremost, people who I know are incredibly smart. They care deeply about entrepreneurs and see that I trust personally. Because I think, it's, you get like a vendor who has something to sell and you're saying, hey, I'm going to introduce you to 100, 200 business owners. Like, yeah, all of them are going to jump at that opportunity. But trying to build relationships with the people you really, really trust to actually do that stuff is, I think, more important. Because you don't want to introduce like the wrong person to the market and suddenly they just start selling like a course or something. That'd be awful.
There's nothing worse than being at an event, trying to talk to people and build relationships, and some dude comes up and shows you their AI app on how they can schedule calls for you or some stupid thing like that. And I see people do this in the franchise industry, and I've been around long enough to know when a supplier, vendor, partner that comes in is going to work out or not. And it's truly based on how they behave at these events. And obviously the events that I go to, like, people are paying to sponsor these events. There's 500, 600, 800 people at the event. And I mean, I'll be standing there at the bar and someone will come up and be like, hey, let me show you this app that I'm wearing. And I'm like, hey man, respectfully, I don't want to see your app right now. You can email my team and maybe we can set up a call, but I don't want to see your app right now. And like, that's all they'll say. And like, it's so crazy to me that people think that works. Like, it's mind blowing. Like, how did you make it this far in life if you still think that works?
Yeah. That just rings so many bells where I'm like, this is my like actual justification of not being too salesy. Number one, it's like a personality flaw of mine that I'm not salesy enough. People have told me that, but my justification for it is like, dude, I plan to be in this business for 10, 20, 30 years. Like, having a good reputation as not fucking harassing people for sales or to look at my product. Like, it's going to come back in a better way. People are going to be more responsive because they know that I'm reaching out for an actual reason and not to sell something. And you're actually going to be someone who they genuinely might want to talk to if you're not always trying to push something. I think it comes back to you over the long term so much better. And when I see people who I've had a bunch of calls with business coaches recently, a few months ago, and I'm like, when people just shoot right into the pitch, I'm like, it just doesn't. I'm like, you either haven't spoken with enough business owners to know how people communicate, because it's a bit more, I hate to just say like authentic or frank or what do you call it, like brass tacks. But I don't see how that works for people. At least I don't think it would work for me.
No, not at all. So when is the Rand van settling down, and where's the Rand van settling? Where's this podcast about scaling your life too? So like, where's Rand van gonna live? What's going on? What's happening next? Because you're moving somewhere soon, right? Like officially? No. You decided not to?
Yeah, I decided not to. That's a different story.
Okay.
I'm thinking. I've been thinking for a while. I've been thinking about, Raleigh, North Carolina, kind of anywhere in North Carolina seems pretty great. Nashville, I've told you about Nashville as well. I generally like the sort of like central East Coast, tons of proximity to everywhere I spend a lot of time. And no plans on moving currently, especially with just how busy I am. Ohio is also like pretty darn central to a lot of the Northeast, even getting down to South Florida takes 14 hours. North Florida takes like 10. It's I like driving, so everything feels pretty close. So right now we're staying settled.
So when you're not traveling on the events, are you hanging out in the van around Akron area predominantly?
No. I'm coming to you live from my house right now. I own a duplex in the area. Yeah. I'm in one of the units. And
gotcha.
when I go out and travel, I keep this place empty. So I just come back, live where I'm going to live.
Got it.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that. So where's the duplex at then? In Ohio?
It's in Akron. It's in Akron, Ohio.
Akron. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. My van is parked 30 feet outside that window right there.
So what? So your next event coming up, I will see you at in a couple months. Main Street Summit. Saw you there last year too. You mentioned Scale Path is sponsoring that event. What are your hopes to get out of going to Main Street?
Is this the part where I be salesy now?
I'll give it to you. Do it. Yeah.
I'll be very honest. We designed this entrepreneur caricature card game. So we took every single speaker at Main Street Summit and we designed a theme around them that is either a movie, a TV show, a video game, a popular character from history or mythology. And we put the entrepreneur who's speaking inside of that universe very often as like as a character. We've got one guy, you'll know him, like Brian Beers. He's Super Mario Kart on Rainbow Road. And there's like Bowser's behind him. Mario's throwing a mushroom at him.
That's awesome.
We've got a ton of other things like that. Kelsey Larrick is Ash Ketchum. He's got a Pokeball. Nice. Yeah, because he's got to catch them all, man. He's acquiring tons of e-commerce businesses. And everyone has their own sort of relevant theme. On the back of every card is a little bit about who they are, their bio, the tie-in to the theme. We're going to be passing these things out at Main Street Summit to everyone. Decks of cards, like 50 decks, individual caricatures to everyone. And we're going to be... I have to talk with the printer about this, but I want to do foil cards, like very special one-of-one foil cards for the actual speaker to stand out personally too. And there's a couple things, like obviously I want this to work out for my business. I hope we get tons of leads. I hope we get a bunch of people subscribing to our newsletter. But the conference is a pretty broad range of people. It's VC, manufacturing, small business, investors. And a little bit of what I'm hoping for is just to cut through the noise as being like an interesting person who does interesting things and someone whose journey that other people want to follow and pay attention to for the sort of ethereal outcome that is, you don't know what the future's going to hold, but if you're relatively well known for a while and people like you, interesting people will reach out in the future, word of mouth comes and is generated. And that's a bit of my, unmeasurable hope is just like tons of people fucking love the card game. Like a great outcome is that everyone's talked about me on day one. Like that is the, what do you call it? Goal setting. Like that's our stretch goal is like, I am the only person people talk about on the first day.
That's
By the way,
your BHAG.
Yeah. Well, I've got a small inkling that this might work. At the first SM Bash, I wrote a Twitter thread about every single attendee. It was like 70 out of 120 people. I wrote a Twitter thread, like everyone got their individual tweet. I wrote about who they are, their background. If I knew them, I made fun of them a little bit. I think I remember I called like Rich Jordan. I was like, got a face only a mother could love. He's a super handsome guy, so like obviously it wasn't, it wasn't a dig. He was like, what the fuck? And that was like the first couple hours. It was like, hey, did you see the thread? Did you see the thread? Did you see the thread? And I think small things like that they just stick in people's minds a bit better. They go a long way in a ton of unpredictable ways.
Yeah, I remember you sent me my card. I don't know if it's changed or if I made the cut or not. Because
I'm very sorry you didn't make the cut. Well,
I don't think I'm speaking this year. I spoke last year, so I think they alternate years or something.
We've got just scale like Kelsey Larrick. I don't think he's speaking. We've got him in there, and
Okay.
I wanted to do your card. I had you and 20 others. We've got 121 of these things created, and we're down to the deadline. We need
totally
5
fine.
weeks to print, which gives us 2 weeks of error margin. And I haven't sent this to the printer yet, so I'm very sorry, Aaron. I wanted to print your card, we weren't able to do it.
Totally fine. I liked the AI version you sent me, and I'm just glad to be considered at this point. So
I was thinking of you.
Yeah, thank you for thinking of me. Very cool. So, so tell me what the plans are, I guess. Like, do you have like a member count goal that you want to get to? Do you have a revenue goal that you want to get to? Obviously, you made an acquisition that costed money, so you need to get a return on that acquisition. So, like, talk to me about like the 5 and 10 year goals for ScalePath. Are you acquiring other businesses? Is it a roll up play? Like, what do you? Yeah, I don't know. Tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah, candidly, we haven't set 10-year or 5-year vision. And even member brief goals. I think it's 30 by the end of, an additional 30 members by mid-calendar next year, with just very, very strong retention. And like, I don't know that we put a number behind that, but right now we're pretty easily tracking that, especially on the peer group side. Our retention on peer groups is phenomenal. Like when people, because of this large lesson I've learned, but like how to actually build good peer groups that are highly relevant to people. When people get into a peer group, broadly they stay. We also have this like radically friendly sort of vetting process where someone who's a prospective customer actually gets to see who's in the peer group and gets to schedule calls with them beforehand. And then, we make them stay for 6 months. We have a 6-month minimum. So they heavily validate it upfront if it's going to work, and only if they know it's going to work do they submit payment. And that's helped with retention a ton. It's just like, we know that this is going to work for you, just verify it for yourself. Trying to think about other things. Our larger goal this year is to just unlock one new marketing channel. And we have it's one of the reasons that we're experimenting with this Main Street Summit thing. We have a small idea that if you design these caricature trading cards for other small business owners and mail them to them, that it could be so personalized that people have to get on the phone with you. Or again, you cut through the noise. Mm-hmm. There's also a couple other things we've tried. Cold email. We're going to start to do printed mail soon, like handwritten printed mail. We've already gotten some good feedback from that. We reach out to, again, we've got a manufacturer group where everyone's acquired manufacturing companies. So we are very specifically targeting and reaching out to other people who've acquired manufacturing companies. That's going well. So we really just want to find one new marketing channel that's outside of my social media, outside of Curdly's social media, to kind of lean into as a scaling marketing channel, more of a predictable growth channel, because a lot of it's driven by my media presence right now.
Have you seen any changes since kind of the algorithm in Twitter changed about a year ago, in terms of lead flow?
Oh yeah,
it's wild, right?
Twitter kind of sucks for me. I haven't paid attention to Twitter in a while. LinkedIn's phenomenal.
So you spend most of your time on LinkedIn and posting on LinkedIn.
Yeah, well, I design the posts for LinkedIn, for what's going to work on LinkedIn, and I copy and paste it to Twitter. I'm I'll still post the stuff on Twitter because there's people there, but everything I do on LinkedIn, I've got, actually at this point, my LinkedIn is pretty much caught up to my Twitter followers, but everything I post on LinkedIn gets better engagement, better comments, better likes, not always better impressions, but sometimes better impressions.
Yeah. I mean, I've found, so we did for franchisees, our biggest channel last year for organic was up until September, October was Twitter. And then the algorithm like totally changed since Elon got involved in politics. And I think it just went in this like really weird, dark, like the For You like thing that it opens up on the For You. Like it used to be like you, Eric, Kelsey, like, all these different people that I like seeing. And then I'm like, I log in there and I'm like, wait, am I a far right conspiracy theorist? Because I don't think I am. I don't think I signed up to follow anything here. Like
as soon as I started seeing like street fights and people getting hit by cars, I was like, what am I doing? You click over to the following page and it's somebody who posted something 3 days ago. Like, what the fuck? What's going on? And these numbers are interesting. I've got 5,500 LinkedIn followers. I post something and it predictably, gets a minimum of 1,000 impressions, but usually 2 to 3. I posted something. If I post the same thing on Twitter, occasionally it'll do really well and get 10 to 20,000 impressions, but it's rare. And if it does it either goes to 10 to 20, which is very rare, or it stays between 500 and 1,000. I'm like, dude, I got 7,000 followers on Twitter. You're not showing it to these people. Why? On LinkedIn, it'll take 3 weeks. Your content has a 3-4 week life cycle on anything you post. Reg Zeller reached out to me the other day because 2 weeks ago I posted about a manufacturing guy who's got this specific problem he's working through. Like 2 weeks ago I posted that, and I'm getting impressions and engagement. And Twitter's just not that.
Yeah, it's been trash. I mean, we've fortunately I've established enough of kind of, I think, momentum across all the channels to where we're still picking up a good amount of organic content. But it used to be heavily like, oh, I follow you on Twitter. Now it's like, oh yeah, I saw it on Google, or I saw a YouTube video you were on, or I saw this podcast you were on. I don't remember which podcast. And so we still get a good amount of lead flow outside of kind of broker lead flow. But it's not as much as it was when Twitter was firing on all cylinders. It's not.
On this like marketing channel thing, I feel like I could do good at YouTube. I have no idea what I would actually talk about because I am not a business expert. I have
so many ideas. I have so many ideas.
Do you really?
So many ideas for it. Yeah, dead serious.
Okay.
You have so many experiences that other people don't have, right? Like you've literally sat down with probably more people in the SMB space than anyone in history. Like if you think about it, if you think about it, like it's probably true. Like I can't imagine there's someone else who's visited and sat down in their local market with as many business owners as you have. Right?
What's that guy's show? The name from the show, The Prophet, Marcus something.
I don't know what show it is.
He's the CEO of oddly enough the RV company.
Like remember the did you ever watch comedians in cars getting coffee?
Yeah, a little bit.
That would be a amazing format, like for YouTube. So the comedians cars getting coffee is Jerry Seinfeld, and he goes and he picks up some comedian, Amy Schumer, whatever, and he rents a car that like is similar to her personality. So he's like, this is why I picked this car for you that I rented. And then they literally just go get coffee and bullshit for like an hour. And and she talks about or whatever. And there's like 7 seasons of it on Netflix. You should go watch it. And you could do that with a different business owner in every single market that you go to. You could do it with 2-3 business owners in every single market that you go into. And you're just like, we're going to go get coffee, or we're going to go comedians in cars, whatever, not comedians in cars, S&B and Rand in a car doing whatever. Like there's so many cool things. Or you could sit there in a room like this, studio, and just tell a story about a guy who bought a business, what he learned when he bought that business, what his failures were, and how the person viewing it could learn from those mistakes. Like there's so many cool things you could do.
I think the part where I get discouraged on, I don't know that these are valid concerns, but this is where my brain goes. Like, of course, my urgent just like push back. No, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah,
maybe
sure.
just voicing some stuff. I think I think it's hard to to be happy with the amount of impressions that you get on small business content. Like, for example, yes, Mr. Beast has whatever 40 million subscribers, whatever that number is, because his content is practically applicable to everyone. It's just like fun stuff. So once you get down to small business, like having 10,000 followers is probably all you need to build a great business. But even those can be really challenging to get. And I've done 2 YouTube videos that I'm very happy with. One of them got 300 views. I think the other one got like 250. And I was just like, damn, I was really hoping for the algorithm to push it. If I could get to 20,000, that'd be really fucking cool. And I saw it as like, if I pursue this thing for like a year, then, and if I'm still getting like 200, 300, 500 impressions a video, I will be pretty disappointed.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like enough.
I think the better way to measure it would be if you could attribute lead flow specifically to that, right? Because if it's 200 views, but you get this much revenue for your business every single time you post a video, then it doesn't matter if it's 100 views or 60 views or 3,000 views. Like, it's ultimately how is it impacting the growth of your company, right? Like, I think, like, Hormozy talks about this. Like, there's a woman who she did like coaching for like veterinarians that needed to scale from like 200,000 to like 1 million. And like, it was a very niche, super small, like, and she had like 1,000 followers or something like that. And she made a lot of money, and it was all of her lead flow was from her specific thing. So it's not so much the size of your audience, but the quality of your audience, right? Like, all of Mr. Beast's 40 million people that follow him wouldn't be interested in discussing manufacturing business owners and them meeting up, or power washing franchises getting together and franchisees growing their business. Like, that's just not interesting. Like, I probably have 4,200 followers on Twitter, and like 5,500 on LinkedIn. But like my acquisition channel, other than brokers, is organic content and media. Like, we only may get 65 to 100 views on this video that we're doing together. But over time, someone might say, oh, I'm interested in becoming a Rolling Studs franchisee. I'm going to go listen to every single hour-and-a-half long podcast that Aaron's done for the last 4 months so that I can get to know Aaron and see who wants to run this company. So it all just compounds. But that would probably be the way I would think about it, is like, how many leads are you going to get from the effort? I will agree with you, though, that yes, you are going to need to dedicate a year to 2 years to YouTube to really start to see. And that's an investment, right? Like, time and money to do that.
And a commitment. Like, you can't, like, 2 months can't go by and be like, well, it's not working, pull the plug. Like, you have to actually, the baseline is like spending a year or 2 or X number of videos or X number of minutes, whatever. And it's a lot, which I don't think I have a problem. I have a problem with more is like the certainty of it. If I'm certain it would work, I'd be more gung-ho, but certainty's difficult.
So Brian Beers crushes it at YouTube. Like, he's put some time toward it. He crushes it. Go look at his YouTube. Like, he's grown from like no following to like, I think he's got over 3,000 subscribers, and he's only started in the last year. But he has like a whole content life cycle. YouTube, you need the thumbnail, you need the hook on the thumbnail. It's the thumbnail's got to tell the story. So it's got this, like, it's a much more complicated process than just like, I have a thought and I'm writing it on Twitter. But dude, he used to get like, so Brian and I are really close, and he's like, man, I used to get like 12 to 15 leads a week from Twitter. He's like, I'm getting 1 to 5 a month now.
Yeah.
And most of his leads for franchise brokering and helping people find franchises are coming from YouTube. And so I have a theory around content right now. Like, I have a thesis. My thesis is that there's so much AI crap that like the educational content that used to work so well, right? Like, I'm going to tell you 3 ways to how you franchise your business, or 3 ways how to build a great whatever. Like, anyone can create that now with AI. Like if you prompt AI with the right stuff, like you could get out pretty solid like information. And so what that means is there's this influx of crap content because everyone thinks they can be a content creator because you could type in AI and have it spit out 300 posts for you and then schedule all those posts and not think about it again. If you're like, so what I think is going to be the major difference is founder driven, business owner, story driven, organic, like, hey, I'm here at blah, 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 talking like you're, you know, like really behind the scenes feeling stuff that cannot be replicated by AI. And so I think the more that like someone who creates content is out there actually telling their story and less worried about production value and more worried about just, hey, this is who I am as a person and these are the things I think, that is what's going to, and this is a theory, I could be wrong, but I think that's what's going to stick out in the next 18 months specifically in the content world.
Oh, I would probably say it sticks out within the next 10 years. I mean, we don't know what's happening with AI, but my expectation is like some of that, you know, anyone can be a Twitter or LinkedIn creator. Just like, here's the 3 steps to new customer acquisition. And it's the same thing. It's the first article that you look up on Google.
Exactly.
Like that thing probably still works a little bit. Like there's other people who have built brands on Twitter and LinkedIn who are like, fuck it, AI can do this. And then they're just like, they're sort of riding those coattails. And there's other people who are, you know, doing some content like that. But eventually it's going to be, why is every single thing I'm looking just AI or just bullcrap or it's the same thing? And I see that working for a long period of time.
I think people are just already doing that now. Like when I go on, I used to get like stoked on some of the comments that people would write. Like I'd go on there, I'd look at I spend significantly less time on social media than I have in like a long time. Because when you go on, people will engage with your stuff. And it is literally, clearly a post written by AI. So it's like someone's just sitting there trying to create engagement. And it's like, it has no meaning. The post, the comment, it couldn't be less personal. It's like totally crazy. And so I get discouraged because it's like, it's all fake. And so what I'm doing, like, so part of my thought process around content recently was like, all right, well, I became chairman of the board of my company recently. I hired a professional CEO. So what am I going to do that's going to continue to drive engagement, but also that I'm going to enjoy doing that will be evergreen content? And so that's why I'm one of many reasons why I'm training for an Ironman to do next year, because it's evergreen content. I can compare it to business, which training for an Ironman and building a business are very, very similar. And I can just create raw and organic and authentic stuff. And so my content guy, I was like, yeah. So like I called him up one day. He's like, okay, so everything we've been doing for the last 2 years, we're just going to start making sports media instead? I was like, yes.
That's exactly right.
Yes. I was like, yes. Man. He goes, okay, roger that. But it's funny because he came from the sports media background. So my content guy was working at a company called Flow Grappling. And it was like, Flow Grappling is like the ESPN for like jiu-jitsu, right? So he was like a figurehead in the jiu-jitsu space. Like literally like everyone knows who Chase Smith is in the jiu-jitsu space. So he's like, I get to blend franchising now with my sports media background. So we release a video of like, I just started training for an Ironman. We're 503 days out from it. Like literally like a full-blown like training video on YouTube. And we're like, well, we'll see how this goes. Dude, it's like one of my best performing videos. Like it got served up to, like 507 people watched it or something, like, which is like triple the amount of my most watched podcast. So it's really interesting. Like it's organic. I'm talking about something I'm doing in real life that's actually happening. I'm sharing my experience that's actually happening. Like, and I think people want that stuff.
You know, I started doing a monthly newsletter recently. I'm actually 12 days late on it, which is been busy. But I just want to do a monthly newsletter. I've done 2 or 3 of them now. And the one I actually wrote that was supposed to be published on September 1st was I wrote this like highly personal thread of someone in our community who's knocking on, default's door right now. And I wrote out the entire structure of like how the conversation went in the peer group. Like, this is what it looks like, and this is what it sounds like when someone is not doing well and they have almost no options. And I didn't post it because I think it's too personal. I also didn't post it because I want there to be a resolution. And frankly, I want the resolution to be a happy resolution, even if it happens a year or two from now. Is it because I can't drop it and just say, hey, this guy's going through an incredibly tough period of time, and sometimes this is what business likes. It's incredibly tough, which is true. It's totally true. But as far as a piece of content, I didn't feel comfortable posting it. I also don't. I want someone to be uplifted a little bit rather than just like, damn, that was depressing to read. Thanks, Rand, for the reality check, but that wasn't that's not how I wanted to spend my Saturday morning. And I think I do better on written because, we do have a bunch of things that are happening inside of our community that are really great things to share. I also have a challenge with trying to think about how I could put that on video, because I don't know how to do that. Is it literally just me in a studio being like, hey, this guy had this thing and this is what we did and this is how the conversation went and these are the things he had this trouble with his business. These are the things we talked about to solve it. This is what he's going to do. Is it really just, a 5-10 minute video on that?
That is literally an option. The other option is you have them come on your YouTube channel and tell their story and you facilitate it, which is something you already do anyways in your business. And you just say, hey, would you be comfortable talking about, I don't know, if it's not super personal, but like the things you learned from it? It essentially becomes like educational content, but it's also an ad for ScalePath because she's a part of ScalePath, right? So we were a part of our peer group, blah, blah, blah. My name's Rand. I run a blah, blah, blah. We're going to get into this manufacturing business owner, and he's going to talk about how his acquisition went 6 months post-close, and then just ask questions. And then and then you just share that,
Can I give you a better example? We had this call the other day. This guy was a pool service company. He's got like 1,000 customers, recurring credit card payments. They're processed, once a month for recurring services, and then another 15 to 20 times a month for like project based. I feel like I'm totally getting those numbers wrong.
Repair?
I swear to. Yeah, but
repair.
Repair. For repairs, but not per customer, not 15 to 20 invoices per customer per month. This doesn't make any sense. What he's going through a CRM integration right now, and his large question was on, hey, his current CRM, those credit card numbers are locked inside of it, and he still has to integrate to a new one. So he's like, how do I do this that isn't painful, where I can get people to update their credit card information quickly, so I don't have to float AR balance by emailing invoices now. And like, that's, we had a few ideas for him. As like, that's a much more tactical thing where that can be explained pretty openly. And like on YouTube, and I'm imagining the title is like how to transfer 1,000 customer accounts to a new CRM, or how to unlock 1,000 credit cards in a CRM. And maybe you play a little bit off the Google search algorithm, a little bit, because YouTube's linked with Google.
Yeah. YouTube, from what I understand, is the most sophisticated algorithm of all the channels, and because of its ownership of Google. And you could make a video and it'll be served up to people for years and years and years if it's good. I think video founder driven kind of real story things is gonna just crush, and it's largely because, like, with written, I love written. Like, I wrote an article today on LinkedIn that I posted, but like, it's literally like me writing a journal about my experience and then posting it in a LinkedIn article and then relating my experience to like the challenges of growing a business, right? And so someone might read that and say, oh, I want to I want to learn more about rolling suds because I want to learn. I'm learning all this stuff about Aaron and his knowledge about these things, and you just have so much knowledge about how to grow a business properly because you've seen so many people's mistakes and you're growing a business yourself, right? So, but yeah, I mean, it's that would be an interesting that would be an interesting piece for someone to watch that's considering like growing a business. I mean, if you think again, just look at like the GOAT for this, right? Alex Hormozy gives away everything that he knows basically for free. Like his free content on YouTube is like better than probably most people's like paid courses. And then he releases a book, and the book makes $100 million in a weekend because everyone's already been consuming his free stuff for like years. So they're like, yeah, I'll pay the book, whatever, $5,000, cool, for a book, or $200 or whatever, So I just think there's a lot to that, and I think that could certainly be a really good acquisition channel for you guys from a marketing perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that would be good. So when are you coming to Nashville next?
As soon as I get to think about my travel plans outside of next week, I'll be traveling to Atlanta. You guys are relatively on the way.
When are you going to Atlanta?
2 weeks, September. I'll probably be driving the weekend of September 20th. So that's not next weekend.
So what if you came back through on the way up in October?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Me and Jack help you plan another event.
Yeah, we will. We'll just make sure it's.
Dude, I'm getting. I don't know how we could collab. We could even do something fun like where we have a barbecue here. I have a sauna that I'm finishing right now that can fit like eight dudes. Cold plunge room, like the whole deal. Barbecue, like we could fuck. And Jack lives 5 minutes from me. Like we could just cruise here. Just do it.
That
here.
Sounds awesome. I also I've been looping in Noel. You know Noel?
Mm-mm. Oh, yeah. Noel, you said
Tattoo.
I didn't know that's how you pronounce his name. Yeah, dude, that would be awesome. He's out here now, right? Like he spends a lot of time out here because of his new shop.
Yeah. He
wants you and I met Noel at the same time.
Yes.
Remember?
Did he?
When we had the event?
Yeah. Well, he's one of my favorite people because I think he's the first person to fly to an event that I did. Like he was the first person to fly to any event. I was like, man, this is a free happy hour, right? Like this is like I don't know that the great like the people who are coming are like totally worth meeting because he was like one of the first people to also sign up like RSVP. I was like, just so you know, I don't know exactly what the attendees are going to be. I'm like very happy to tell you who they are, make sure that it's worth it for you. But he was just absolutely stoked on it because he was planning his expansion here. And I think he's said this several times to me, but it's like him getting to meet local business owners legitimately helped him like plan his expansion to Nashville and like know the local towns a little bit and have more people to meet when he comes here. So they'll arrange, coffees, lunches with people. It's just like, and he's just a fucking fantastic person.
He's a great dude. Yeah, we went to dinner. That was really fun. We went to dinner afterwards with my brand president and the guy who runs my location, Nashville corporate owned location, and we all had dinner together. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about that.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah. So well, let me know if you're cruising through. I'll help you. We can help get together. But Rand, this has been an awesome conversation. I always enjoy chatting with you. If people want to learn more about ScalePath or they want to follow the Rand Van adventures, where can they find you?
Twitter, LinkedIn. I think the Twitter handle's @Rand Business. LinkedIn is Rand Larsen. Larsen spelled with an E. I've got a great newsletter that if you go to my website, joinscalepath.com, scroll down a little bit and then move your cursor on your computer a little bit, and it'll prompt you to join the newsletter, which I think is really good personal content of just sort of what we're seeing in a very, very candid, anonymized environment.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Rand. We'll talk soon.